man named Geoffrey Chaucer wrote several stories and put them together called Canterbury Tales. How many of you boys and girls know what it means to be too prideful? Someone tell me? What does pride mean? Tell me what pride means.
I don't know.
Okay. How about you? What does pride mean? Mandy, what does pride mean? Too much pride. What is too much pride?
I don't know how to put it into words.
Can somebody put it into words? Raise your hand if you think you can tell me what too much pride is.
When you think too much of yourself.
When you think too much of yourself, kind of haughty behavior. Haughty means arrogant. You have something that you think is so special that it puts you way above everybody else. That's who I'm going to tell you about tonight. There is a story included in this group of stories that I told you about that this man wrote called Chanticleer. Chanticleer was a rooster. And this rooster was the most beautiful rooster you could ever imagine. He lived on a farm with a young widow lady and her 3 daughters. Chanticleer would strut around the barnyard all day long, just having people to look at him, thinking that he was the prince of his kingdom. He had 7 hens. Do you know what a hen is? It's like a female rooster. And these hens followed him around everywhere. They thought he was wonderful. And these hens were beautiful too because they were colored much like Chanticleer was. The widow lady and her 3 daughters had very, very simple means. They lived in a very simple place. They had very little to eat because her husband had died just a few years before and left the 3 daughters and the mother without very much. When they would eat, they would usually only eat bread and have milk. Every once in a while they would have an egg and maybe some bacon because they did have a few animals on the farm. One day, Chanticleer took a nap and he awoke from his nap and he was groaning and grumbling in his throat, just like a man that was so perplexed about life. Well, he had a favorite hen of all these hens, and her name was Miss Partlet. So Miss Partlet came by and said, "Chanticleer, what's wrong with you?" And he said, "Oh, I just had a terrible dream. I dreamed that this horrible beast that looks just like a dog attacked me and carried me away." And she put her hands on her hips and said, "Chanticleer," because you know animals could talk back then. This was many years ago. Said, "Chanticleer, shame on you. You know that I cannot love someone who is afraid. Why are you fearing your dreams? You're the Lord of this kingdom. You need to just get up and forget about that dream because it's only causing you to be in fear. And I will not love someone who's in fear." He looked at her and he said, "Oh, Miss Partlet, your beauty does just drive away my fear. So I won't worry about it anymore." So he strutted around. When he got to the edge of the yard where the grove began, he was watching a butterfly fly around. Guess what he saw laying in the bushes? A fox. Oh, this fox was a wicked-looking fox. He was red and orange and yellow. He had black tips on his tail and on his ears, and his eyes glowed. Scared Chanticleer to death. He jumped back, and he started clocking and clinking and yelling, and of course he could talk, so he was yelling in words too. So he was just carrying on, just awful, because this fox he knew was there for him. Well, the fox said, "Oh, wait, Chanticleer, don't be afraid. I only wanted to come and hear you sing, because you know I knew your father. And your father had the most beautiful voice. And when he sang, every animal in the kingdom stopped and listened." So Chanticleer stopped and just started listening to what the fox said, which was what? His first mistake. The fox said, "I just wanted to see if perhaps you could sing as beautifully as your father." He said, "But you know what your father would do when he sang? He would stand up on his tiptoes, stretch his neck way out, close his eyes, and sing." Chanticleer thought, I'm as good as my dad was. I'll show you. He stepped up on his tiptoes. He stretched out his neck. He closed his eyes, and right before he started to sing, what happened? The fox grabbed him, and he ran through the grove. All of a sudden, Chanticleer was grabbed by the neck, but he could still make a sound. So he started yelling and screaming and clucking and clicking again and carrying on. Well, the 7 hens heard it. All of a sudden, they started clucking and yelling and screaming. Well, then after the 7 hens started, here come all the other animals, and there was a stampede into the grove. This awakened the mother of the 3 daughters, and they started running toward the grove. Chanticleer had to think quick here. He was about to be eaten. He was about to lose his life. So he thought when he got to the edge of the grove, and he said, you know, Sir Fox, if I were you, I would just tell all these animals that are following us in white here that they need to just go on back because you've got me, and there's no use in them following us anymore. They can't do a thing about it. Fox thought, that's a good idea. The fox opened his mouth to tell the animals to forget it. What did Chanticleer do? He flew up into the highest tree. The fox thought, oh no, I've done messed up now. So he thought, I'd give it one more shot here. Chanticleer, I'm sorry, I meant you no evil. Come on down here and let's talk again, and I'll explain to you what I was trying to do. Chanticleer was wise by this point, though. He said, never again will I listen to your words of flattery. Then the widow came up with the 3 children, and she looked at Chanticleer and she said, that's what you get for thinking too highly of yourself. The moral of the story, kids, is if you've got something you think is wonderful, be sure you don't think too highly of yourself because it will surely get you in trouble one day.